Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the There Is a Floodlight That Never Goes Out podcast. As ever, joined by Will.
Morning, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you, and Tom.
How are you guys?
Very good. Today we'll be going through our championship predictions for game week 39. So, should we start with AFC Bournemouth versus Middlesbrough in what could be quite a pivotal game for the race for the playoffs? Will?
Yeah, I think it's a huge game for us.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
Will, how do you see this one going?
For me, I think I would prefer, obviously, probably a Middlesbrough, either victory or a draw, but I can't see Bournemouth losing it. I think they've kind of maybe picked up a little bit of form before the break, and I'm going to go, probably going to be like a 2-1 Bournemouth, in my opinion.
And Tom?
I agree with Will's sentiments that you look at Bournemouth at Dean Court and you always think they can't lose, but their home form actually isn't as good as you think it'd be. I think Neil Warnock will go there, and I think he's going to shithouse a win.
Yeah.
Seriously, I just think, especially with Woodgate coming up against his former club in Middlesbrough, I think there might be a bit of a psychological block there. And Bournemouth have had a lot of players out on internationals. Just off the top of my head, I can think, one of their key players, Lloyd Kelly's played every game in the under-21 Euros. So yeah, it might not happen, and it's one of them things. What's just a hunch, not really stats based. But I can see Borough going there and picking up a win. What do you think about that
one? Well, Bournemouth, they obviously got spanked 3-0, didn't they, by Southampton in the FA Cup.
Yeah.
But then previous to that, they spanked Swansea 3-0. So, yeah. And the confidence you'll gain from that. I think Borough are just a really. I'm not quite sure how they are where they are, because they seem to lose every week. And yet somehow they're still there. I see this being a bit of a bore draw, to be honest. A 1-1, 0-0.
Yeah.
It's a Woodgate team. We know how they play, and it's a Warnock team. We know how they play. It doesn't promise exciting football. So I'm going to get 1-1.
I'd probably agree on that. I don't think it'll be an exciting game. But the jury's out. Let's look at probably a game more geared towards Wednesday now. QPR Coventry, Loftus Road. What are your thoughts on this one, Ed? Because Coventry, people probably wouldn't say that they're in it, but you can't argue with the league table, and they are 20th. So how do you see this one going?
Yeah, I think Coventry are one of those sides that the table does them a real injustice, because whenever I see them play, I think they're a good side. QPR seem to, they found that real good run of form, haven't they? Because they were I think it's about a month ago or whatever, I was thinking that they could really get dragged into the sort of relegation race, and credit to them, they haven't. I see a QPR win with this one. Coventry just seem to be just plateauing out at the wrong sort of time. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 QPR win.
Well, yeah, I mean, you say QPR's form, and it's not spectacular, but 3 wins in 5 is really good for them.
Yeah.
And, they have key players coming into form as well. You've got Austin scoring a lot of goals, Rob Dickey playing well at the minute, and Elias Chair. Whereas Coventry have 1 win in 5, which is at home against Derby, who are only 1 place above them. And, I think Max Biamu missed a couple of sitters in the last game, so you can't really call them clinical. And I think that is what has let Coventry down this season, how clinical they are. Because Callum O'Hare, he creates a lot of chances. The guy is a machine.
I saw him when he was on loan at Carlisle, and he was somewhat special there. And he obviously took to League One really well, and he's took to the Championship, obviously rejoining Coventry. And I think he's a real class player. He's just energetic. But I think, I feel for Coventry fans, because, like I said, they play nice football, but they just don't seem to get the right results. A 0-0 draw against Wickham in the last game.
Yeah.
But, so I'm going to go for a QPR 2-0 win there.
I mean, in terms of O'Hare, we talked in the last episode about, if Alex Mowat does leave Barnsley. I think O'Hare's the perfect Mowat replacement because he's sort of adjusted his game in the Championship from being a 10 to an 8. And that's something that Mowat had to do with us in League One. And I think O'Hare would be a great Mowat replacement. But I am in agreement with you, Ed. I think Loftus Road isn't an easy place to go. And I can't see Coventry picking up an away win here. So, I'm in agreement with that. I think 2-0 QPR. What are your thoughts on it, Will?
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys, really. I can't see Coventry getting anything out of this. Like you say, QPR, 3 wins in the last 5 is very solid for where they are in the table. And I'm right in thinking they picked up a draw against Reading as well in that, which obviously helped us.
Yeah.
And that's another, pretty solid result for them. So yeah, I see QPR taking all 3 points in this one.
Cool. Next, shall we? Let's go to Nigel Pearson's team, Bristol City, and as they play Stoke City. How do you see this one going, fellas?
Well, one of them in it. It's a bit mid-table. It's a bit too mid-table to really care about, but
100%.
But it's 14th against 11th. And Bristol, their home form has been very bad this season.
Yeah.
They've lost the last 3. No, they've lost the last 5 at home actually.
And I've got to say, when we entertained them at Ashton Gate, they were terrible. We beat them 1-0, but it could have been 5. And I think Stoke actually quite decent on the road as well, which will go for them. I remember that before they played us, I think they'd only lost something silly like 3 times away all season.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go Stoke win here, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. But yeah, I think Stoke win.
I'd just like to say a quick word on Nigel Pearson because I've been surprised actually by the sort of seemingly lack of impact he's had at Bristol. Am I right in thinking that they won the first 2? Well, he wasn't actually on the touchline, was he, for the Middlesbrough 3-1 win? But then they beat Swansea 3-1. But then, since that 1 win in 5, and that's against Birmingham, losses to Rotherham in that. I've been surprised actually by Nigel's lack of turning it around. I mean, of course, it's a very short period of time. The squads, I see a lot of resemblances in that squad to the resemblances in our squad in terms of just on the day good players, but for some reason aren't doing it.
I mean, just to pick up on that, they've scored 1 goal in their last 5 home games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is abysmal form for the Championship, and the squad they have is very good.
Yeah.
But this season, like I said, they've massively underperformed after a decent start. So I think Stoke will go there, and I think they'll just do the job. What do you think, Will?
Yeah, I completely agree. Like you say, it's a bit of a mid-table. I'm not going to say nothing clash, but
no, it's a nothing clash.
It's a bit on the beach in it for April.
But like you say, Nigel Pearson maybe not had the impact we thought he would. Obviously, that win against Swansea sort of looked like that could be the big turning point for Bristol, and then obviously they went on to lose. I think it was against Bournemouth or something. And then ever since then, they've just been on really poor form, picking up 1 win in the last 5. So yeah, while Stoke haven't been on great form themselves, I can see Stoke winning this one.
Yeah. So let's go on to the first game, which involves one of our 2 clubs, Watford versus Sheffield Wednesday. Now, Ed, I am obviously going to come to you first. Yeah. You are playing statistically the second best team in the league, not just in the league table, but on form as well. Everything points to a Watford win. So, how many do you think Wednesday are going to score?
Well, I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this one, and that's obviously with a large slice of Wednesday bias. Look, 9 wins out of the last 10 for Watford, and playing some incredible football in that time. But look what happened against Barnsley, a team in real, hot streak of form, and we went there and put those flames out. So
Yeah.
with 2 weeks of Darren Moore being able to get some more of his tactical knowledge across to the lads, who knows what this team will perform like. So my heart says obviously a 1-1. My head obviously says a loss, but I'll never back Wednesday to lose. So a 1-1 draw.
That's understandable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, Vicarage Road, I've talked a lot about home grounds and, the form that teams have had there. Vicarage Road has been a real, been strong in terms of form for Watford this season. And I just think the reason why I had so much success against Barnsley was because of our high line.
Yeah.
And Watford just simply don't play a high line, So I can't see anything past a Watford win. But, and it is a big but, you never know what can happen in the Championship. And when you're down at the bottom, you really are scrapping for everything. So you never know. But I think Watford comfortable 3-0. What do you think, Will?
Yeah. Like you say, it's very hard to see Wednesday picking up anything from this. Like, obviously they got that win against us before the break, but I think, being honest, I don't think that will really transpire into anything. Watford at home, like you say, very strong. 9 wins in the last 10 is just that's unbelievable. And for me, for Wednesday, I can see it being a similar game to your recent Norwich game at home. You kind of match them on the pitch. You don't necessarily have a bad game, but ultimately they're sort of just class, and a few of their stronger players are just that's what's gonna win it for them, in my opinion.
I think that's a very fair assessment, to be fair, and something that could definitely happen. I think both make a lot of sense there, and I'm definitely the one who's.
We will nail you in the review if you get battered, by the way.
Yeah.
So it's coming.
I can imagine that might happen, but we shall see.
Moving on to a clash at Deepdale then. I don't even know why we're doing this. Norwich are going to win, aren't they? They just win all the time.
Yeah. I think there's been a real lack of just strategy from Preston in the sacking of Alex Neil.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think
Preston are in trouble, in my opinion. I honestly think they haven't won a game in the last 5, and they could so easily get that bottom half of the table is so close this year. They could very easily find themselves struggling a little bit, I think.
They could do a haul. No joke, they could do a haul because, Alex Neil is genuinely a really good gaffer at this level. And I know Preston fans have been annoyed at the way they played this season, some of his team selections. But you don't sack him with 8 games to go in a championship season.
No, absolutely.
So I think they are in trouble. You are right, Will.
For me, it's not necessarily the sacking that's the problem here, although I think that is an issue. It's they're not replacing him with anyone. I don't see how that benefits anything at all. I don't see the planning there, because they're just leaving themselves more exposed to at the minute quite minimal, but could definitely grow in terms of threat of relegation. A Norwich win.
I can't imagine there's many managers who would actually want to take on that sinking ship at Preston, though. It's such a difficult job that he's going to have to do.
Yeah.
And, like you say, 8 games left or whatever. It's,
I'm pretty sure they've said that they're not going to employ anyone until the end of the season. I might be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure.
Even when it comes to the end of the season, who wants to work underneath Peter Ridsdale?
Neil Harris. No, that's my guess.
Neil Harris. It's just Ridsdale's. He's got such form for being a terrible, terrible owner. And obviously, he's not the owner at Preston. I think he's got a job title of something like special advisor to the owner. But I think, you are going to be working with Ridsdale on a daily basis, and he's a terrible, terrible guy who almost destroyed Barnsley. He certainly destroyed Leeds. I wouldn't want to work at Preston, but on to the actual game, I can't see anything past Norwich win. I think all of us are being agreeing here. I think Norwich are up, aren't they?
Yeah, the only slight caveat with that is that Norwich have got a bit of an injury crisis again.
Right.
I think I read Daniel Farke yesterday said he's only had 13 players in training. I mean, of course, that is there's had quite a few out on international duty, but obviously Ben Gibson's out for the rest of the season. So yeah, they've got a few injuries racking up. Of course, the great thing that Norwich side is their strength in depth is incredible. So I don't think it'll affect them too much.
And I think they've been able to sort of get ahead of steam away from everyone else. And I think while I wouldn't say they're clear, I just think they're just safe, aren't they? Just up in that first place. And
yeah,
even if Watford continue their great form, and maybe there'll be a title challenge, but I'm not sure. I can see that Norwich just winning the whole thing, if I'm being honest.
100%.
They're a juggernaut, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely have them down for possible 100-point tally. I mean, they deserve it.
I think, yeah, you can't really call them one of the greatest championship teams ever because this season's been so odd.
Yeah.
And, you question, would this have happened with fans in grounds? Maybe not. But this team compared to the team that went up in 2019, it's, the worlds apart. I think going into the Premier League this time with a much more solid defence, I think they might have a real good go at it.
I think that team going in, because I think the problem last time they went up was, the kind of, Pukki was scoring goals, obviously, but, I had Buendia amongst them, and because he's great, Buendia, I really like him.
Best player in the league.
Absolutely. So he's a Premier League player, no doubt about it. So, it'll be interesting to see if they do go up, which I'm pretty sure they will, and then see how they get on in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is they obviously last season last time they were in the Prem, they had Buendia, Pukki, Cantwell, all these players that remarkably and impressively they kept, and all those players, Max Aarons, and all those players have had is another season of development, which
yeah,
of course Pukki aside, he's past the stage of developing, if you get what I mean.
Yeah.
But I think the signing of Oliver Skipp, I think if they should be, and I'm sure they will be doing everything to try and get him back for another season loan in the Prem. And I don't see why Spurs wouldn't want him. A lower end Premier League loan would be perfect for Skipp, and why change from Norwich? Also, Grant Hanley. I love Grant Hanley. I think he's so good. I never thought I'd be saying that, but he's so good defensively.
Yeah, that Norwich defence they've got going is just so hard to break down.
Yeah. Should we go to Cardiff then? And South Wales?
Interesting game, I think, this one.
I do. Yeah, it's
two old boys going up against each other, really, in Houghton v McCarthy. For us, we really don't need Cardiff picking up any more points.
No.
But Nottingham Forest are winless in their last 5.
Yeah.
It doesn't bode well.
Yeah, I mean, Forest have had a tough last 3 fixtures. They've had Reading, Norwich and Brentford and got 2 points from that.
And they had Watford before that as well. So they really had a tough few fixtures, to be fair to them.
Yeah, draws against Reading and Brentford. I don't think that's the respectable results. Obviously, Cardiff coming off the back of their win against Swansea. I've got this down as a Cardiff win. Cardiff 1-0 win. Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, you can't stop scoring.
Well, the thing is with Cardiff is they just always seem to find a way, don't they?
Yeah.
They do.
Like, no matter the game, if they should lose, they'll get a draw. If they should draw, they'll get a win. And it's happened all season. And I just think at home they are very, very strong. The only thing I'd say about Forest is if they turn up on the day, they're a top-class championship team because they've got top-class championship players like Anthony Knockaert, Lewis Grabban, Joe Lolly, Bruce Samba, Joe Worrell, Jimmy Garner. Like, these aren't mugs.
No.
I just think Forest, they don't tend to fare well against long ball teams either. So, I think it's going to be a Cardiff win.
Yeah, Cardiff just epitomise, Mick and the pragmatism he plays with. Like I said, that just getting that result regardless of the performance. And, it's an interesting one, Cardiff, because if you're a Cardiff fan, you look at, that it's obvious that Tan has this vision of Cardiff playing a certain way, which is hoofball. Which, it must be infuriating. But then at the same time, of course, Neil Harris start the season aside, he's got them success, so you can't really
Well,
complain.
it's a dance with the devil that we've had. We played some of the best stuff in the division last season, and we didn't win games. This season, you could argue we've been a bit too hoofy, and we've been winning. I mean, I'll ask Will about this now, but would you rather see Barnsley play hoofball and win, or see us play tiki-taka, gegen-pressing football and lose?
For me, it's like, I don't care. Like, for me, it's a no-brainer that you want to see your team win, and you don't care how they play on the pitch. Really, like, because at the end of the day, when you walk away after a win, you don't think, oh, I wish we played nicer football, do you? Like, you just don't.
Yeah.
You love winning, and in the Championship, if that's what you've got to do to win, then so be it. We've got the men who can carry that out. We've got the big lads. If that's what we need to do, that's what we have to do. And look at where we are in the league. For me, no one can complain about the style of football we're playing, because look at where we are in the league. You don't get there by fluking it, as some people are almost making out.
Yeah. And so just to double check on this one, I think have we all got Cardiff win coming in?
Yeah.
Good stuff. I think it's time to move on to another bit of a nothing game. Having said that, Derby could get dragged into relegation battle.
I think Derby are in there.
Yeah, it's Derby v Luton.
I mean, Derby are winless in their last 5, aren't they? And Luton actually 3 wins in the last 5, and the losses came against Swansea and Norwich. So it's not bad form for them. I think I can see Luton winning this one.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you, Will. I don't see Derby doing enough to beat Luton. I think you look at the players who've taken games by the scruff of the neck and won them for Derby this season. Kazim Richards, Jozwiaks, and they haven't turned up in recent games. And I think Wayne Rooney's probably a bit. I wouldn't say he's an elitist coach,
no,
but he doesn't treat the Championship with enough respect. I don't think
he doesn't,
and he's suffering as a case of this.
Absolutely.
I think that's epitomised by when he said a couple of weeks ago, whatever, that, oh yeah, next season I want to be game promoted, and it's like, well, hang on, pal, you're not even safe in the division. You can't be speaking like that right now, because I think Derby are in trouble, and Luton, can I just say, I know mugs, like when we played them,
No, they're not.
First half we were incredible, 2-0 up, and they came back and won 3-2. I think that Elijah Adebayo, he's a real talent. So I've got this one down as a Luton win.
Yeah.
And you have to.
Sorry.
It's alright. I think I'm slightly lagging. That's the problem.
It's okay. It's just one of them. On Adebayo, he's one of them players that I don't know how our spreadsheet missed him. Or he might not have done. He might have just chosen to go to Luton.
Yeah.
But he is class. He's so good.
Very good player.
In terms of his ceiling, I think he could easily play in the Premier League.
At the right club, absolutely.
So, definitely. So we've got a Luton win there, and if Derby lose that game, Coventry pick up an unlikely win at Loftus Road. Birmingham pick up something against Swansea, which is unlikely. They really, really are in scrap for survival. So let's move on to that Birmingham game, home to Swansea. It's a late kick-off this evening. How do you see this one going?
I'm not going to lie to you. I think I can't see Swansea winning this, but no, I can't see Birmingham winning it either. For me, it's going to be a draw. I just think Swansea, they just seem to be running out of steam a little bit, and I know it's, they've only lost 2 in the last 5, but for me, I just think Birmingham, they know they're in trouble, and they've not played the greatest football this year, but I think there's almost been a bit of change in spirit at Birmingham since Lee Bowyer's come in, and I think that is ultimately what might getting a point or something out of tonight's game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with Bowyer coming in, there's been a renewed sense of optimism that just wasn't there for the whole of Karanka's reign.
Yeah.
And with him being a former Birmingham player who was part of that League Cup winning side, I think they're willing to give him a bit of leeway to sort of say, yeah, they might. I think was it Watford their last game.
It was, yeah.
They got pumped at Watford, but there was no complaints because when the job had to be done at home to Reading, they did it.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of Birmingham's survival, they have to make their home stadium a fortress once again, and win against Swansea. It wouldn't confirm that, but I think it'd enhance that. What do you think, Ed?
I've got this one down as a Swansea win. I think it's a bit much too little too late for Birmingham in terms of bringing Lee Bowyer. I'm also not sure Lee Bowyer is the right man, if I'm being honest. I mean, that's a whole separate conversation, really. But I think Swansea, I mean, we all know how the game's going to go. They get a last-minute penalty and they'll win. And that penalty decision will be contentious. But, yeah, I think I can't see Birmingham winning this game. It was a good result for them against Reading. But then, 3-0 against Watford. Although, by all accounts, they didn't play too badly. But, yeah, I can't see them winning this one. So I'm going to go for a Swansea win.
Yeah, I'm actually in agreement with Will on this one. I just think Swansea have had a little bit of a result slump lately, and similarly to Bournemouth with their key players being on international duty, Mark Gurhey, who's probably been their standout performer this season, barring Andre Ayew, has played poorly in that England under-21 side, albeit being managed by the clown that is Adi Boothroyd. But I think you're looking at a draw there.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll also be interesting to see how, if you look at the sort of top six, and I'm looking like Swansea and Brentford, and those teams that had a bit of a result slump, Reading, and will they sort of reignite their charge after this international break? I know key players have been playing international football, but a lot of their team will have been rested, and so it will be interesting to see if they can come out of the blocks, those three teams. So yeah, I guess we'll find out.
I think as a whole, this sort of championship season is poised for a really good finish, isn't it? This last run in, sort of both top and bottom of the table. There's no clear, apart from maybe Norwich and Wickham, at either end of the table. I think everything else is still to play for.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to be a real blockbuster finish to the season. Moving on then to tomorrow's 12:30 kickoff. At whatever they call it these days. Is it John Smith still? Is it Gal Farm? God knows. I see it every day though on the way to college, and it is Huddersfield versus Brentford. Like you say, a bit of a result slump for Brentford, but even then they've still only lost one of their last 5 fixtures. Yeah. Whereas Huddersfield have only won one of the last fixtures, albeit including 3 draws. So how do you see this one going, Ed?
A Brentford win. Yeah, I think, again, like I just said about the international break, it's going to help those top teams who play high-intensity football. When we played Huddersfield, I thought they had a lot of nice, just tippy-tapper passing it around. Nothing actually doing anything with the ball. It was just all nice and cautious. And yeah, I wasn't impressed with them at all. So I think Huddersfield still aren't clear. They've got a difficult run-in as well.
Yeah.
Playing four big teams in like Brentford, Norwich, Bournemouth, Reading, yourselves. So I think they're definitely not out of that relegation picture, and I can't see them getting anything against Brentford.
Yeah, I agree with that in the sense that they are sort of still in the mire. I think Corberan's a bit of a false image as well. You see, he was tutored by Bielsa, so you automatically presume is going to play a carbon copy of the way Bielsa did, whereas I think Huddersfield have taken on a different style. Maybe it wasn't what Corberan intended. Maybe he did want to play like Bielsa, but they haven't really been able to replicate that this season. What do you think about this one, Will? Because, if Brentford do lose this and we pick up a win, we're only 1 point behind them.
Yeah, and it's really sort of, like I said, it's exciting looking towards the end of the season because it is that so close. And with Huddersfield, it's such a weird one. Their form has been so hit and miss this season. They'll lose to some of what you call the poorer teams, and then, when they did that 4-1 against Swansea, it's just like out of the blue.
Yeah.
And so I think you can't fully write them off, but, going on what's in front of us, I think Brentford will win this one.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you two lads. I think Huddersfield could, but I don't think they will. See Brentford picking up all 3 points. Moving on to a game which, once again, it feels a bit like we're wasting a bit of breath covering this one. It's Wycombe v Blackburn Rovers. I think everyone's accepted Wycombe are down. What are your thoughts on this one, lads?
Yeah, I think they're down, but I think you've almost got to give them credit in the fact of they're certainly going down fighting. There's never an easy game against Wycombe. They give everyone they play a decent go, and 1 win in the last 5. It's not great, but they just have a thing about them, don't they? Like in our game against them the other week, it was such a sort of scrappy kind of. They played it how they wanted to play it, and I can see that working, and they will pick up the occasional result, but it's just nowhere near good enough for staying up in the Championship.
Yeah, in terms of the individual fixture, Blackburn are 15th, and they don't have anything to play for. They're not going to go down, I don't think. I'm not going to go up. Did you say, do you think they do, Ed?
No, I said they don't, and I think for that reason, Wycombe, I think we'll get a win here. I really like Gareth Ainsworth, and I've got a bit of a soft spot for Wycombe in just the way they attack every game. They obviously don't have the quality, but I think Blackburn, again, they're in the category of the Bristols, the Stokes, the QPRs. They've got nothing really to play for. They're waiting to get on their summer holidays if they're allowed. So I just see, Wycombe giving them a bit of a shock. So I'm going to go for a Wycombe win.
Yeah, I really hate Wycombe after we played them. I thought they cheated. I thought they moaned all evening. Their owner was just screaming at Cauley Woodrow the whole game.
Was so weird.
Yeah.
I don't know if that happens normally. Like, obviously there's no fans in, but like it's just like so odd. Just like individualing out our players and just screaming at them. Like, just very, very odd.
This is one of his quotes. Ref, our number 9 has taken a shit on our corner flag.
Wow.
and that's a genuine owner of a Championship club screaming that at a referee. He then booed him off when he got substituted.
It's so like immature. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't want Wycombe to win another game, but I do think they will. And Blackburn are on the beach, so I'm going for a 1-0 scrappy Wycombe win. What are your thoughts on the actual result of this game, Will?
I'm gonna go for a draw. I think it'll play out similar to the Wycombe's last game at Coventry and be a 0-0 draw.
Yeah. So moving on to the penultimate fixture that we haven't covered yet, and it's a clash at the Den between Millwall and Rotherham. Rotherham, they've got an intense, to say the least, fixture running from now till the end of the season. Millwall, their fans might argue they still have an outside chance of getting into the playoffs, but it is, it's a 5% chance, let's say. Rotherham have actually had some really solid results on the road this season, where previously they've really struggled in the Championship. So personally, I can see Rotherham actually picking up a win here. I think, they'll match each other in terms of style of play. I think Paul Warne and Gary Rowett have a very similar way of playing football. But I just think Rotherham want it more. I can see a Freddie Ladapo screamer, a 1-0 Rotherham victory. How do you see this one going, Will?
Yeah, I completely agree with what you've just said. I think they'll both match each other, and then it's just going to be who can get that decisive goal. And I feel a bit bad for Rotherham almost this season. The season has really been hindered by their games getting cancelled, etc. And while they have this big, got loads of games in hand, it's going to be a difficult slog for them over these next few weeks, playing that amount of games. But you look at the opponents they're playing, and they could, turn some of those games into points, which will be vital for their survival. And like you say, I think it could all start here at the Den, and I think I'll back Rotherham as well.
Yeah. And Ed, what are your thoughts on this one? Because if Rotherham pick up another victory, it doesn't help Wednesday one bit, does it?
Yeah, it's a weird one with them because I feel like at the minute their results are sort of not irrelevant, but you just can't really, you don't know where to include them in the picture, if you get what I mean. Because
with so many games in hand.
Yeah, so from my position, I'm more looking at the Birmingham's, Coventry's, Derby's, Huddersfield's. Like I said, though, it's two very, to put it nicely, pragmatic teams. But we all know what that means. Is they like to hoof it. I don't know. I feel with Millwall, like you said, their fans might feel that they've got a slight outside chance of playoffs. As a neutral, I don't really think they do, and I think Rotherham will be up for it more. And they'll know that they're going to have to definitely make, turn these games that they've got now into points before they get into that manic run where they're going to be really leggy in some of those games.
Yeah.
So I think Paul Warne said yesterday that none of his players were feeling any effects of COVID anymore, which is great to hear. So I'm going to go for a Rotherham win as well, but I don't want one, but I'm going to go for it.
And what are your thoughts on the final result on this one, Will?
Such a difficult one to call, isn't it? You've got two teams who are really going to be going for it. But I think I'll back Rotherham. Probably they might just nick it 1-0.
Good stuff. Now, I don't like the cliche saving the best till last, but I think this is a real blockbuster fixture. Barnsley v Reading in the evening, 5:30 kickoff in the Championship. In terms of games in the race for the playoffs, I think they don't get much bigger than this for Barnsley from now till the end of the season. How do you see this one going, Ed, from a neutral's perspective first?
I think as a neutral, if you win this game, that's Barnes. If Barnes win this game, I think they're shoo-ins for the playoffs. But I really can't call this one because I think both teams, Reading are a very hot and cold team. When they're on it, they're really on it. But when they're not, they're not. Obviously, I said in yesterday's pod that Lucas Xiao, if you can keep him quiet, you'll win the game. And I think it'll be easy to keep him quiet with your style of play. So, but I'm going to go for a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I think there might be a case of both sides not wanting to lose the game, if you get what I mean. That sort of a point will suit both sides. I think really it'll suit you better than Reading, but I think both sides would take a point right now. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
So what do you think on this, Will? I've been seeing every minute of every game this season with Barnsley. This is a huge, huge game for us, isn't it?
Yeah, it's absolutely massive. Like Ed said, I think we win this and we've kind of got over that first big barrier into securing playoffs. It's really, really difficult one to call. Obviously Reading haven't been in amazing form before the break, but obviously we had that loss to Wednesday, finishing our unbeaten run. So I suppose that kind of levels it out on form. The bookies have got us favourites, if that means anything. Obviously, I wouldn't back Barnsley to lose, so I am going to back Barnsley, but I think it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a real battle at Oakwell, and from a neutral perspective, I think it'd be a great game to watch. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think it's going to be a real good clash. I do worry about Reading's attack because as much as, you've said Zhao might be kept quiet with the high line, Michael Elise is such a class player at this level. So is Yaku Meite. I do worry about our high line getting exposed. And I do think Reading, as much as we've said, in our last episode, they're mid-table form pretty much since October. I do worry about them coming to Oakwell and picking up a win. But with my Barnsley cap on, I am going to say we'll pick up a 2-1 win. With Valerian Ismail making a quadruple sub on the hour mark, with Carlton Morris coming on to score the winner once more. What we didn't actually get a result out of you, Will. Are you gonna go with a Barnsley win, a draw? What do you think?
Yeah. No, I'm gonna go Barnsley win. I think, like you say, it'll be close, but I think in true Barnsley fashion, I can see us winning this one 2-1.
Good stuff.
For me, if I should say one thing on that game, as a neutral, I'm really looking forward to seeing the left-hand side of Reading with Omar Richards, who was incredible against us, and Ovie Jari seems playing out on the left now with Elise through the middle against Britain. And it'll be interesting to see whether he starts. Will it be Sibic or Solbauer?
I think you might go Sibic.
Yeah, I mean that'd be a
try
really
and
good
deal
clash.
with Reading's pace.
Yeah,
that'd be a great one to watch. But yeah,
just another thing to add.
Yeah,
Michal Helik obviously played on Wednesday night against England. Do you reckon he'll be fully fit and ready to go?
Well, they said in the press conference yesterday that he texted Ismail to say, I'm ready if you need me.
Yeah.
But Apo Harm was really good in that during that Christmas period where he came in.
Yeah.
It was really solid against Wednesday.
It was,
I think we also picked up a win against Rotherham in that time when Halme was playing. So I wouldn't be too averse to seeing Halme come into that central centre back position.
Mm-hmm.
Ideally, I want Helik to play, and I think Ismail will trust him because he obviously trusts his players, and if Helik thinks he's fit enough, I think he'll play.
And the Polish manager brought him off around the hour mark, didn't he? So he didn't play the full 90. So hopefully he'll be good to go.
Yeah, fingers crossed, and fingers crossed for a Barnsley win there. Well, I think that's covered everything we've wanted to cover. Please do follow us on Twitter at Floodlight Pod. Please follow us on SoundCloud. The link is in the description. And we'll be back on Saturday with a match review of all these fixtures with former Barnsley defender and midfielder at times, Wayne Goodison. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.